Be me, 29 years old. Work as a senior structural engineer at a firm nobody in my family has heard of. Apparently, if you don't sell houses or sue people, you don't have a real job. Every family gathering is the same script. My older brother Marcus is the golden child. Sells pharmaceutical equipment, drives a leased BMW, talks about closing like he's performing open-heart surgery on a stapler. Married to Diana, a woman who describes herself as in luxury brand consulting, which apparently means she has opinions about handbags. Mom treats Marcus like he personally invented success. Dad just nods along because agreeing is easier than thinking. Aunt Patricia runs the gossip department with the efficiency of a German rail system. I'm the quiet one, which in my family means the one we talk about when he leaves the room. Christmas Eve at Mom's house. 70 relatives packed into a split level that smells like cinnamon, bourbon, and competitive disappointment. Kids running everywhere. Uncles arguing about football. Someone's already broken a decorative plate. I'm standing near the kitchen, holding a drink. I stopped tasting 20 minutes ago. Trying to be invisible, which should be easy since my family's been practicing not seeing me for years. Mom materializes like she was summoned by my comfort. Everyone. Jake's here. Jake. Tell them about your little building thing. My little building thing is structural engineering for a firm that designs hospitals and federal infrastructure. But sure. Mom? Let's call it that. Before I can respond, she's already narrating my life to the room. He draws lines on computers all day. It's very technical. Apparently. Aunt Patricia leans in. At least he's staying busy. Staying busy. Like I'm a retired golden retriever who took up Sudoku. Marcus shows up fresh from bragging to someone else. Jake's the family architect who never actually builds anything. Right. I'm not an architect. Marcus. Same difference. It is literally not the same difference. Diana tilts her head with that smile she uses when she's about to be helpful. Have you thought about getting into real estate? Marcus could probably get you started. Started. I have a master's degree and a PE license. Dad chimes in. Your mother and I just worry you're not reaching your potential. My potential. I designed the seismic retrofit for the county courthouse last year. But go off. Dad, this has been happening for 6 years. Ever since I chose engineering over the family insurance business. Mom wanted me to work with Uncle Greg. Uncle Greg sells life insurance and has the personality of a damp envelope. When I got my first real position at the firm, I called home excited. Mom said, "That's nice." But Marcus just got promoted to regional sales director. Marcus had been regional sales director for 3 weeks and had already bought a watch to celebrate. After that, I just stopped explaining. Every time I tried, the information slid off them like water off a duck that went to a state school. So, here I am at the party, nodding while relatives calculate my salary wrong. Someone asks if I make $40,000. Marcus estimates lower. Diana suggests I might qualify for first-time homebuyer assistance programs. I own a condo. I paid cash for it. Nobody asked. Then Aunt Patricia drops the bomb. Jake. Honey, are you seeing anyone? 'Cause my friend Linda's daughter just got divorced. And she's very available. The way she says available makes it sound like a clearance sale at a store that's closing. Mom jumps in. Jake doesn't date much. He's very focused on his little projects. Actually, I'm seeing someone. The room gets 10 degrees more interested. Oh. What does she do? She's a doctor. I say it simply because I know what's coming. Aunt Patricia O. Like a chiropractor. Marcus naturopath. Diana, is she one of those online wellness coaches? Mom well? That's nice. Dear, what kind of doctor? She's a physician. Mom? What kind of physician like a GP? She's a surgeon? Oh, the O-land's different. But I can already see them rearranging reality to fit the existing narrative. Marcus recovers first. Is she one of those residents? Still in training. She's attending at a clinic somewhere, at a hospital. I don't elaborate because I've learned that details bounce off this family, like tennis balls off a concrete wall. What none of them know, what I haven't told them, because experience has taught me that telling them anything important is like shouting into a pillow, is that Dr. Vivian Blackwell is not just a surgeon. She's the head of emergency medicine at St. Augustine's, one of the top trauma centers in the state. She is 31, published in 3 major journals, and runs a department of 40 people. She also happens to dress like she's attending a funeral for someone she personally sent to the afterlife. We're talking jet black hair, dark lipstick, silver rings on every finger, a wardrobe that looks like it was curated by a Victorian ghost with excellent taste. On her days off, she wears band shirts from groups that sound like they were named by a philosophy student having a crisis. She has a tattoo of an anatomical heart on her forearm, and another one I'm not going to describe at a family Christmas party. She is, without question, the most terrifyingly competent and unexpectedly beautiful person I have ever met, and she is 12 weeks pregnant with my child. We met 8 months ago at a hospital site inspection. I was reviewing structural load reports for a new emergency wing expansion. She walked in wearing scrubs, dark eyeliner, and an expression that suggested she had already decided I was wasting her time. You're the engineer. Yes. The ceiling in Trauma Bay 4 has been making sounds. What kind of sounds? The kind that makes me think about liability. I went to look at the ceiling. The ceiling was fine. But she stood there watching me work with this intensity that made me feel like I was being peer-reviewed in real time. I gave her my assessment. She asked 17 follow-up questions. Most engineers would find that annoying. I found it incredibly attractive. There's something about a woman who demands structural integrity reports with the same energy as a final exam that just does something to a man's brain. We started talking. Then we started getting coffee. Then we started getting dinner. Then we started getting into situations that I will describe only as architecturally significant. Vivian was everything my family wouldn't understand. She listened to metal while reviewing patient charts. She wore black nail polish to board meetings. She had a skull-shaped mug she drank chamomile tea from. She read Gothic novels before bed and woke up at 4 a.m. to save lives. She was also kind in a way people didn't expect from someone who looked like she could curse you. She remembered the names of every nurse's kid. She stayed late with families who'd lost someone. She once talked a suicidal teenager down from a ledge while wearing a Bauhaus t-shirt. The goth thing wasn't in vogue aesthetic. It was just her. And I loved every Darkomastine in. Complicated, brilliant inch of it. The pregnancy was not planned. We're both adults who understand biology. But biology has a sense of humor that borders on malicious. When she told me, she was standing in her kitchen at midnight, holding a pregnancy test and wearing a Susie and the Banshees hoodie. So, this is happening. Apparently so. You're not freaking out. I'm internally freaking out at a frequency only dogs can hear. She laughed. It was the first time I'd heard her laugh without a layer of irony. It sounded like someone who'd been holding her breath for a very long time. We talked until 3 a.m. about logistics, feelings, fears, futures. She said she wanted to keep it. I said I wanted to be there for all of it. She cried exactly once, briefly, then made us both scrambled eggs and told me about a new study on neonatal outcomes. So, back at the Christmas party, my family is discussing my mystery girlfriend, with the enthusiasm of people who found a new hobby. Aunt Patricia wants to know if she's age-appropriate. Mom wants to know if she comes from a good family. Marcus wants to know her salary range, presumably to calculate whether she out-earns him. Diana says, "I'm sure she's lovely," in a tone that means, I'm sure she's adequate. I'm standing there, holding all of this inside me like a grenade with the pin barely in, and then my phone buzzes. It's Vivian. Emergency. Multi-vehicle pileup on Interstate 94. Mass casualty? I need to go in. Can you come get Mortimer? Mortimer is her cat. Mortimer is a black cat with one eye who looks like he was designed by Tim Burton during a depressive episode. Mortimer is also the only creature on Earth Vivian trusts more than me. Which is fair because Mortimer has never once forgotten to buy oat milk. I text back, "On my way after this." Then another message. Also, "I threw up again. The baby does not approve of the Thai food. Your genetics are responsible for this?" I smile at my phone. Mom notices. "Who are you texting? Is it the girlfriend?" "Yes." "When do we get to meet her?" "Soon." "Is she coming tonight?" "She's working." "Mom?" On Christmas Eve. What kind of doctor works on Christmas Eve? The kind that saves lives. "Mom." Marcus snorts. Sounds like she's avoiding us. Honestly? Marcus. That's one of her most attractive qualities. Then everything happens at once. The TV in the living room is on. Tuned to the news because Uncle Greg has to monitor current events like he's personally responsible for geopolitics. The anchor cuts to breaking news. Massive pileup on the interstate. Multiple casualties. Critical injuries. Emergency teams mobilizing. The camera cuts to the hospital. St. Augustine's. And there, walking through the emergency bay doors in dark scrubs and black boots, barking orders at a team of residents who look like they're trying not to cry, is Vivian. The Chiron reads, Dr. Vivian Blackwell, Chief of Emergency Medicine, St. Augustine's Medical Center, Chief of Emergency Medicine at the best trauma hospital in the region. The room goes quiet. My mom is staring at the screen. Aunt Patricia's bourbon hand has frozen mid-sip. Marcus looks like someone just told him his BMW is actually a Hyundai. Diana's mouth is open in a way that would be unacceptable in luxury brand consulting. That's Jake's girlfriend. Someone whispers. Dad squints at the screen. She's wearing a lot of black. Yeah. Dead. That's her whole thing. She looks like she listens to scary music. She does. Dad. She's also currently managing a mass casualty event, so maybe we can discuss her Spotify Wrapped later. The news coverage continues. The anchor is talking about Vivian's department, her track record, and the fact she's overseen a 30% improvement in trauma survival rates since taking over. They mention her publications. They mention her age. They mention that she was recruited from Johns Hopkins. Johns Hopkins. Marcus went to a state school and talks about it like it was the Ivy League. No shade to state schools, but Marcus has been dining out on that diploma for a decade. And now the TV is casually mentioning that my girlfriend graduated from one of the most prestigious medical programs in the country. Mom turns to me. Jake, you said she was a doctor. She is a doctor. You didn't say she was that kind of doctor. What kind did you think I meant? I thought I didn't know. I thought maybe urgent care. Urgent care. Mom thought the woman I'm dating runs a strip mall walk-in clinic. Incredible. The questions start coming fast. How long have you been together? Why didn't you tell us? How much does she make? Does she know about Marcus's back pain? Can she look at Aunt Patricia's knee? Does she own her own house? Why does she dress like that? Is she in a cult? She's not in a cult. She's goth. What's goth? It's an aesthetic. Mom? Is it a religion? It is not a religion. Does she worship Satan? She worships evidence-based medicine and 9 hours of sleep, neither of which she gets enough of. Marcus is doing math in his head, and I can see the exact moment he realizes she makes 3 times his salary. His face does something I've never seen before. It's like watching a stock ticker crash in real time. I should leave it there. I should let the TV do the talking and walk away with my dignity. But something in me, some 6-year pressure valve, finally opens, and I say the thing I have been holding in all night. Also, she's pregnant with my baby. Due in June. The silence that follows is the loudest sound I've ever heard in this house. And this house has hosted 4 Thanksgivings, 2 interventions, and the incident where Uncle Greg set the garage on fire with a deep fryer. Mom sits down. Dad takes off his glasses and puts them back on. Like that's going to change what he just heard. Aunt Patricia drinks the rest of her bourbon in one go. Marcus says, "What?" in a voice that's an octave higher than usual. Diana is staring at me like I just solved the equation she didn't know existed. "You're going to have to be a father," Mom says. "Yes." "With the woman on TV?" "Yes." "The chief of emergency medicine?" "Yes." "Mom?" "That's the one." "Why didn't you tell us?" And there it is. The question I've been waiting 6 years to answer, because you never asked. Not about my job. Not about my life. Not about who I was dating. Not about anything that mattered to me. You told everyone I drew lines on a computer. You compared me to Marcus at every dinner. You suggested I sell insurance with Uncle Greg. You didn't want to know about my work, my relationship, my life. You wanted me to be the version of me that made Marcus look better. So, I let you have that version. And I kept the real one for myself. The room is so quiet, I can hear the Christmas lights buzzing. Uncle Greg has paused mid-chew on a dinner roll. 3 children have stopped fighting. Someone's phone is playing Jingle Bell Rock at the lowest possible volume. And even that feels intrusive. Mom starts crying. Not performatively. Actual tears. From a woman who I've seen cry exactly twice in my life. Once when her mother died, and once when the property tax assessment came in higher than expected. Dad looks at the floor like he's reading something written there that he missed before. Marcus, to his credit, is the first to speak. "I didn't know." "Man, you didn't want to know. That's different." He nods slowly. It's the first honest nod I've seen from him in years. I grab my coat. "You have to go get Mortimer. My girlfriend is saving lives on Christmas Eve. And her one-eyed cat needs dinner. These are my priorities now." Mom follows me to the door. "Jake." "I'm sorry." "I know." "Mom? Can we meet her properly?" "I'll ask her." "But if you call her work a phase, or ask why she dresses like that, I will not be responsible for what happens. Vivian is not the kind of woman who tolerates being underestimated. She once made an attending cry during a peer review, and he deserved it. I drove to Vivian's apartment. Mortimer is sitting on the kitchen counter, staring at me with his one eye, like he's judging my entire bloodline. Fair enough. "Mortimer." I feed him. Check my phone. Vivian tests. 14 patients. 3 critical. All stable now. I'm eating a granola bar in the supply closet. Your child is making me crave pickles. And that's a character flaw I blame on your DNA. I text back, "Told my family about us tonight." "How'd that go?" "They saw you on TV first." "Oh God. Was I doing the face?" "What face?" "The face where I look like I'm about to fire everyone in the room." "Yes. That face was present. That's my leadership face. It's terrifying. And I love it." She comes home at 3 a.m. I'm asleep on her couch with Mortimer on my chest. She stands over me in bloody scrubs and smudged eyeliner, looking like a Renaissance painting of war and exhaustion. You stayed. Of course I stayed. She lies down next to me without changing. Mortimer repositions himself across both of us like a furry bridge. Your family's going to hate me. She murmurs. They're going to be terrified of you. That's better. She laughs into my shoulder. Within minutes, and she's asleep. The woman who just managed a mass casualty event, who runs a department of 40 people, who is growing a human being inside her while fighting off pickle cravings and morning sickness, falls asleep on a couch with a one-eyed cat and a structural engineer, and I think this is the most structurally sound thing I've ever built. The next morning, my phone had 47 messages. Mom has sent a screenshot of Vivian's hospital bio page. Aunt Patricia has Googled, "What is Goth?" and sent the Wikipedia page link to the family group chat. Marcus texted, "Bro, she makes more than me and Diana combined." Diana texted, "I think her style is actually quite editorial." Editorial. Diana has reclassified Vivian's entire existence to fit her worldview. Incredible. Dad sent one text. "I'm proud of you." So, it's the first time he said that about something that wasn't Marcus adjacent. I stare at it for a long time. Weeks pass. Mom calls more. Not the old calls where she'd update me on Marcus's latest triumph. Actual calls where she asks about my work, about Vivian, about the baby. She's trying. It's clumsy. And sometimes she still says things that make me want to drive into the ocean. But she's trying. We do the family dinner in January. Vivian shows up in a black turtleneck, dark jeans, silver jewelry, and her anatomical heart tattoo visible. She looks like she could either perform surgery or hex someone, and the ambiguity is doing a lot of work. Mom opens the door and freezes for half a second. Vivian extends her hand. "Mrs. Calloway, thank you for having me. Jake talks about you often. They often are generous. But diplomacy is a survival skill." Mom takes her hand, and I can see her processing the black nail polish, the silver rings, the dark lipstick. "You're very striking." "Dear, thank you. I get that a lot. Usually from patients right before I tell them they need emergency surgery." Mom laughs nervously. We're off to a great start. Dinner is an experience. Aunt Patricia asks Vivian about her costume. Vivian says it's not a costume. It's just how she dresses, even at work, especially at work. Don't the patients find it alarming? Patients find a ruptured spleen alarming. My eyeliner is the least of their concerns. Marcus tries to bond by talking about his medical equipment sales experience. Vivian listens politely for 45 seconds. Then asks him a technical question about the autoclave specifications he supposedly sells. Marcus does not know what an autoclave does. Vivian does not rub this in, but her face says everything her mouth doesn't. Diana asks if Goth is making a comeback. Vivian says it never left. Dad asks about the baby. Vivian says the baby is healthy, growing on schedule, and has already demonstrated a preference for making her nauseous at the most inconvenient times. Take after Jake. Dad says, "It's a dad joke. It's terrible." Vivian laughs anyway. Mom relaxes 1 single degree. The real moment comes after dinner. We're in the living room. Vivian is explaining to my youngest cousin, a 13-year-old named Sophie, what emergency medicine actually involves. Sophie is fascinated. Vivian talks about it without dumbing it down. She talks about triage, about split-second decisions, about the responsibility of holding someone's life in your hands. She talks about how scary it is sometimes. She doesn't perform invincibility. Sophie asks if she can be a doctor. 2. Vivian says, "You can be anything you want, but whatever you choose, make sure it's yours, not someone else's idea of what you should be." She glances at me when she says it. Across the room, my mom is watching I see something shift in her face. It's not the dramatic collapse of old assumptions. It's quieter than that. It's recognition, the slow, uncomfortable dawn of understanding that the son she underestimated chose a woman who is everything she never taught him to value. And he was right. 2 months later, Vivian is 5 months pregnant and still running her department like a general commanding troops. She's modified her wardrobe slightly, maternity goth. It's exactly what it sounds like. Black maternity dress, combat boots, silver pendant of a crescent moon resting on the bump. She looks like a dark Renaissance Madonna. And I'm not remotely joking. The residents have started a betting pool on whether the baby will come out wearing eyeliner. I put $20 on yes. Marcus visits us one weekend. He walks into Vivian's apartment and sees the bookshelves full of medical texts, the framed anatomy prints, the skull candle holders. Mortimer glaring at him from the windowsill. This is a lot of skulls. They're anatomically accurate? That doesn't make it less weird. Vivian emerges from the bedroom in a black Sabbath maternity shirt. Marcus? Welcome. Don't touch the cat. He bites people who sell things. Marcus does not touch the cat. Smart. Over lunch? Marcus says something I don't expect. I was a jerk to you for years. Yeah? I needed you to be less so I could feel like more. I know. How do you just know that? Because I'm an engineer. Marcus. I analyze structures, including the ones people build to protect their egos. He stares at me. When did you get cool? I've always been cool. You were just too busy being loud to notice. Vivian snorts into her herbal tea. Mortimer blinks approvingly with his one eye. The baby arrives in June. Ah, boy. 7 pounds. 11 ounces. Full head of dark hair. Vivian holds him. And for the first time since I've known her, she looks completely, totally, irreversibly soft. The woman who has stared down arterial bleeds and code blues and hostile board members is crying while holding a baby wrapped in a black and gray blanket she ordered from an Etsy shop that specializes in Gothic nursery essentials. I didn't know that was a market. It is. It's thriving. We name him Oliver. Oliver Blackwell Calloway. Vivian chose Oliver because it means olive tree and symbolizes peace. I agreed because I like the name. And because arguing with a woman who just gave birth while maintaining her eyeliner is not a battle I'm equipped to fight. Mom meets Oliver the next day. She walks into the hospital room, sees Vivian in a black robe, holding a baby next to a bouquet of dark red roses, and bursts into tears. He's beautiful. He is. He looks like you. Jake. I know. I'm sorry I didn't see you sooner. She's not talking about the hospital visit. I know that, too. I see you now. I know. Mom? Dad stands behind her, quiet as always. But he's holding a small stuffed bear wearing a tiny hard hat. For the engineer's son? He says, it's the saddest thing he's ever done. And it's enough. That night, the room empties. Family leaves. Nurses dim the lights. It's just me. Vivian. Oliver. And Mortimer, who Vivian smuggled inside a tote bag because she's a medical professional who knows the infection control policies and has decided they don't apply to her. Mortimer sniffs the baby once and settles at the foot of the bed like a sentry. Vivian looks at me in the half-dark. You know, they're all going to tell this story forever. Which part? The part where the quiet engineer brought home the goth doctor and nobody saw it coming. Let them tell you. The version they tell won't be the real one. Anyway, the real one is this: a man who stopped shrinking, a woman who never started, a baby who will never have to wonder if he's enough, and a one-eyed cat who tolerates all of us. She reaches over and takes my hand. Her black nail polish is chipped from the delivery. Her eyeliner survived 18 hours of labor. Which, honestly, should be studied by science. You're a good man. Jake, you're a terrifying woman. Vivienne, that's the nicest thing you've ever said to me. I know. She smiles. It's the kind of smile that doesn't perform for anyone. It's just real. Oliver makes a sound that's somewhere between a yawn and a protest. Mortimer's ear twitches. Outside the window, the city does what cities do. Keeps going. Keeps building. Keeps standing. Like every good structure, it holds because someone designed it too, and for the first time in my life, I'm not standing in anyone's shadow. I'm not the quiet one. The overlooked one, the one they talk about when he leaves. I'm the man who built something no one in his family expected, not because they couldn't see it, but because they finally learned to look